G'day everyone, Mr. Weenie here. I recently got the chance to play a newly released title known as Dustborn, a comic book inspired story-driven action-adventure game, something that has never been done before and is honestly quite original. I paid 45 Australian dollars for this digital diarrhea, and it's safe to say that the money wasn't the only thing I wasted. In Dustborn, the main characters are a diverse group of misfits, each with their own unique abilities and backgrounds. Pax is the protagonist of the game, a black lesbian. Theo, the Arab. Gnome is another lesbian but is strangely depicted as a man, a very feminine one at that. And finally Sai, the fat pig, cow, or brick shithouse that she is, whatever you want to call her. I guess you can think of her as the tank of the party. The overall story of Dustborn follows Pax and her group of misfit friends as they embark on a road trip across a dystopian version of the United States. The journey's goal is to deliver a mysterious package from Pacifica to Nova Scotia. Right at the beginning of the game, it became pretty clear that the dialogue and story was written by mentally deficient lefties that have a chip on their shoulder about racial diversity in countries that aren't even their own. Right after 45 minutes of boring dialogue, gameplay, and this cow constantly swearing about every little thing.
Did you finish your discussion?
Not yet, Theo! Jeez, man, hold your fucking horses.
You perform a song with your crew to board a place about how refugees are welcome. Ugh.
We're the freaks, we're the outcasts. We look just like you, we're nothing like you. Your past due. We will eclipse you. We're the aliens, we're the refugees. We walk among you, we're right behind you.
Fuck is this? I want to play Guitar Hero, I'll play Guitar Hero. This is shit.
Your kind
Ugh.
We're the Dustborn, this bug is airborne. We're the newborn, our kind is newborn. We're the Dustborn, this bug is airborne. We're the newborn, our kind is newborn. We're the Dustborn.
Whoops. This game, if you can even call it a game, is so politically driven that I think the developers forgot why people tend to play video games in the first place. People don't want to hear about this crap in games. People play games to escape reality just like anyone would by watching movies or reading books. Consumers don't want to be bombarded with gay relationship, pro-immigrant, degenerate lefty garbage video games. Same goes for any other form of media. Look at the Rings of Power, Star Wars, or any new and upcoming media from satanic streaming services. Keep political, racial, and gender issues out of entertainment. No one cares, we're sick of it. It's as simple as that. The developers of Dustborn, Red Thread Games, a Norwegian game studio, were funded by taxpayer money from a predominantly white country, critiquing the US for a lack of diversity. This raises the question about the studio's positioning on diversity when Norway itself has limited representation. Also, it should be noted they were given $150,000 and 4 years to develop this hot garbage, using public funds from a largely homogenous country to produce a game that critiques the diversity issues in another country. A little hypocritical, don't you think? And these clowns still had the balls to describe it as an indie game on their store page despite the massive funding. The game portrays stereotypical villains as straight, white males, while the heroes are a diverse LGBT+ crew. Many gamers, including myself, actually seek an escape from political and social issues when playing games. By focusing on these themes, you miss the mark with a broader audience, which could explain why there is nobody playing your game at all. The game's heavy emphasis on social and political themes, especially those related to identity and diversity, has been a double-edged sword. I'm sure it appeals to some players who appreciate games that tackle real-world issues, but most will find this focus to be too preachy or divisive, especially when it comes at the expense of gameplay and story, because the gameplay is terrible, the story is non-existent, it's fucking shit. The game just seems to be more focused on making a political statement rather than providing any engaging experience for players. Should your studio have the opportunity to make another game, here are some suggestions. Be an example of the diversity you preach. Return the tax money you received from Norway and ask them to instead sponsor a few African orphans to start a better life in your wonderful country. Don't feed the hate machine. Using racist tropes like villains equaling white straight males is not only unacceptable if you're saying negatively defining people based on origin, race, gender is bad, but your game is spreading the very problem it preaches against. Avoid stereotypes. Ensure your characters are multi-dimensional and avoid the reinforcement of negative stereotypes, especially when the game's message is about overcoming prejudice. Makes sense, right? Now, I know the developers are not going to like this video at all, seeing as though I was muted in their Discord for merely airing my honest opinion on the game Firewatch. A game they didn't even develop and still thought it necessary I be silenced for stating a matter of fact. That fact being that Firewatch is dogshit, which it is, but that's besides the point. The point is, you should be able to give your opinion without being silenced, right? Doesn't matter if I liked the game or hated the game. But this is a bit different. Firewatch is a dogshit game and I was muted for it. It's not just my opinion, it's a matter of fact. And I think a lot of people who have a brain will agree with me. Now, given I haven't played the game, but I don't think I have to play it to know it's shit. I can just look at the gameplay, I've seen the trailers, and I can tell you that it's a shit game. Simple. I don't need to play the game. I can look at it and use my better judgment to know it's shit. I was one of the very few people on YouTube who made videos on Starfield about how shit it was going to be. Hundreds if not thousands of people left comments on my videos saying that I was doing rage bait and I was farming views, when that just wasn't the case. Every single one of my Starfield videos got mass disliked, and in the end, I was right. I was right. The game was shit. I even made a few predictions that no other YouTuber did before me. One of those predictions being that you couldn't travel across the planet on foot, that you could only explore within a radius of your landing zone. I said that before anybody on YouTube, and nobody trusted me and said it was rage bait. But anyway, back to Dustborn. I was suffering through my entire 60-minute playthrough of Dustborn. I'm going to call it Dustborn now, that's what it is. It's a bore, it's Dustborn. And yes, I only played this game for 60 minutes. I couldn't get through it, it was so bad. It was so incredibly boring and mind-numbingly torturous at one point, I even considered taking my own life. Luckily, I was able to refund my full 45 Australian dollars by the end and be free of the digital nightmare that is Dustborn. Or Dustborn as I like to call it. To summarise, Dustborn has a lack of engaging storytelling, a crappy cel-shaded art style, terrible Fiverr voice acting, god-awful character development, and garbage combat. With a $45 price tag, it's daylight robbery. I hope the studio goes bankrupt, seeing as though the all-time peak since release was 83. Not to mention the developer is deleting negative reviews on Steam. It's going to be a 0 out of 10. It's going to be a 0. Thanks. See you later, guys.